This one hire took me from 6 to 7 figures. Most creatives can't imagine a world where they sign clients without actually talking to them. As founders, we feel like we need to be the face of the brand and the person that sells to our clients. But what if there was another way? In today's episode, I am joined by Luke Horson, who is the founder of Uplift Advisory. Luke has led and trained thousands of salespeople, and now part of his business is actually building out and scaling sales teams within companies. So today, Luke is joining me on the podcast to talk all things hiring your first salesperson. We're going to dive into where to find this salesperson, what role you should hire for, how to know if you're ready, how much to pay them, and so much more. You're going to love this episode. It is a masterclass in hiring your first salesperson. Let's do it. Luke, I am so pumped that you are here.
Hey.
You are the go-to for building and scaling sales teams. You've done some work with my sales team, and for ages I've wanted to get you on the pod to dive in and talk about how we outsource sales and how we do this in a way that retains our conversion rate, that feels like really, really good. And so today I wanted to talk to you about how do we actually build and scale a sales team as a creative service provider. So the way I'm thinking about this is I feel like there are 3 core stages. First stage is we've got to decide. The second stage is, well, once we've decided, okay, cool, this is the right next step for me, I'm ready for this, then we need to find the person and we need to hire them.
Yeah.
And then the third stage is we've got to onboard them and make sure that they know what their expectations are, they're trained up, we're looking after them, all of that good stuff. So let's dive into the first piece, which is stage 1, deciding. How does someone know if it's time for them to let go as the founder? It's time for them to let go of selling and to start to build a team. What are like the indicators, do you think?
Yeah, that's a good question. Firstly, thanks for having me. Super pumped to be here.
I'm so glad
Love
you're
working with you guys and really keen to dive in. So I think probably for some of the first things, if you're a founder and you're currently selling and you're wearing lots of hats, you're probably wearing the marketing hat, sales hat, the creative hat, strategy, fulfillment. You've got to really identify what are my constraints right now when it comes to the business and what's holding us back from this next stage of growth. Like if you're the person wearing every single hat, you're probably at capacity and you're thinking, where's the highest leverage points right now? Now, if you're a passionate creative, not always sales is going to be your most enjoyable thing to do.
Yep.
Which is probably pretty common.
Yes.
Different sort of part of the brain sometimes. However, if you're wanting to replace yourself, probably one of the first things is, do you have enough lead flow? Firstly, because if we're going to go down the road of hiring a salesperson, one of the biggest things is, can I keep them busy and can I fill their calendar? So for one, they're going to be occupied. They're going to be, in a lot of new meetings, creating new opportunities for the business. And also you're going to be able to create this role that's going to have great ROI for you as the founder. So probably one of the first things is, if you're going to decide to replace yourself, do I have the right marketing engine in place? That's going to feed the machine that you're going to build. So good lead flow, and are they qualified prospects coming through so that you can make sure we can fill the calendar? Now, if that's a yes, and right now your calendar's filling each day, you're getting inquiries through maybe your socials or various different paid channels, then it's like, right, if I'm starting to fill and my calendar's looking busy, how busy am I, right? Because sometimes we want to say, it's time for me to replace myself. But if you're not at 75, 80% capacity with sales, you won't be able to fill that salesperson to the right required levels that's going to keep them growing, making money, winning clients, and building your business. So there's a few things you need to do before that. So number 1, marketing engine. Number 2, you need to have a great sales process. Because you as the founder, you're going to be selling a certain way, which is often an extension of just who you are. You're very passionate about what you do. You've got brand, people know you, you've been referred. So you're going to have a higher conversion naturally. You're going to have a stronger connection with your potential dream clients because they've heard of you or know of you.
Yes. And that makes sense, doesn't it? Because you have this innate authority as the founder, where if they ask an off-the-cuff question, you don't need an SOP or a training manual to understand how to answer that question, because you're like, I know the process inside and out. I know how our service works. I know how our ideal client is thinking.
Yeah.
I know what their objections are. That a lot of that is innate when you're the founder. And so I think that idea of going, well, how do I codify this and how do I make sure that there's a process behind it is so important as we start to delegate this. It's such a vital piece of the business, because if we don't have sales, we don't have clients.
That's right.
So it's really, really cool. So you're saying marketing engine, we need to have leads. You mentioned there's a level of capacity that you need to be hitting in order to know that you're ready. So 75 to 80% of your capacity.
Yeah.
I also love that it's not 100%.
It's a good measure. If you're at 75, 80, you're ready to hire.
Yes.
But you're only ready to hire if you've got this consistent lead engine coming through and you're starting to build some form of framework of how you sell.
Yeah.
Because as soon as you hire that person, they're going to look to you and say, well, great, like what's your offer? How do we do this? And what we want them to do is follow some form of a repeatable framework. So you want to capture all the best things that you do, put it into a framework so they can now follow suit.
Yeah.
They're not going to perform or convert necessarily as high as you as the founder. Typically, a founder could convert anywhere from 60 to 70%.
Yeah.
Where a new
100%.
salesperson might be somewhere around 30 or 40. It's going to be lower than the founder. So we need the lead engine, need a framework, need really good tracking.
Yeah.
So if you're wanting to hire that person, you don't want to throw them in the deep end and not know what good looks like.
Okay, this is so good. So if someone's deciding, they're like, okay, cool, Luke, I know I need to hire. I know for me, like I recognize, and you mentioned earlier, like the constraint. And I recognized this was a constraint for me. This would have been back in 2022, 2023. And I realized I could only take like 2 or 3 sales calls a week. And we wanted to sign at least 2 or 3 clients a week. And so it was like, okay, cool. Either I've got to convert it 100%, or I've got to get some support in to help me so that this doesn't become a bottleneck in the business. So for someone who goes, okay, cool, I know I need to do this. I know that this is going to be the unlock for the next level for me. What's the actual role that they need to hire for first? Because for a lot of people, this might be the first time they've even hired anyone in the sales team. So what do the roles kind of look like?
Yeah, great. Well, when you're considering hiring your first person, some people go, I just want to hire the person that's going to do the selling. Yeah. But often when you're trying to grow your business, and if you're under $50,000 a month in revenue right now, and your dream is to double your business over a 12-month period, sometimes replacing yourself as the main salesperson isn't the best choice straight away. However, creating the sales structure that can help position you to be replaced is the first thing we need to do. So like we mentioned before, the marketing engine is really important. So there's probably 2 key roles. So DM chat support roles that can turn your new followers into qualified bookings. Also, probably one of the key things would be to hire a high quality appointment setter for yourself or an AI appointment setter, either. Now, what this is going to do is be able to fill your calendar full of your most qualified ICPs. Yeah. And this is going to ensure that you can actually convert higher with better quality prospects every day. So you're not seeing people that perhaps aren't a good fit. Maybe they're not ready. And you're filling your calendar full of opportunities you can't convert. So number 1 is actually increasing the quality of your capacity. So the support structure is really important. Yeah. So DM setter or appointment setter would probably be the first 2 roles I would look at. Yeah. And then from there, when that sales engine is starting to really perform smoothly and it's consistent and you're at capacity, then you can say, okay, now I'm ready to put someone else in to replace me. Yeah. And we know they've got the right structure that's going to keep them busy and keep them growing.
Yeah, I really like that. And that was definitely the journey that we went on to, where when I had only capacity for 2 or 3 calls a week, they were very, very hot leads, very qualified leads, because we'd had a setter who had asked them some questions to make sure that they were the right fit. Yeah. So for someone who is new to the lingo, we've got someone in the DMs as like a chat setter. Yeah. We've got an appointment setter, which is generally on the phone, right? And then we've got a closer. Yeah. Can you talk me through the difference between an appointment setter and a closer, just so for anyone who doesn't know the lingo.
Yeah, great. So your appointment setters would do one or two things. They're going to do outbound phone calls on any of your new leads that could be downloading your content. They might be engaging with your assets. It could be trainings you're doing online, beautiful creative, PDFs or tools that you're producing. Those people are giving you a name, number, and opting in, grabbing those resources. They're really good leads because they're top of funnel leads that someone like an appointment setter can very quickly call, sometimes within 5 minutes of that new opt-in coming in, and add value to them, build a relationship, and see if they need any other help. Firstly identifying why they downloaded the resource or the tool, and then seeing where they're at when it comes to their business. Is there anything that you can do in order to help them along the way? Yeah. So that appointment setter role can turn people that are sometimes just curious into interested, and then into qualified prospects, and book them into the closers calendar. So there's one thing. Alternatively, it could be pre-booked calls, and they could just be 15-minute, they're called triage calls. And it's really just a get to know you call on why they're most interested in your help or service or support, and what can we do to really determine, are they a good fit to have a more longer in-depth conversation with, an advisor or closer, as we called it just before, which typically would be you until you've been replaced.
Okay, amazing. And the closer is the one who is going, cool, I am closing you on the call. I'm closing you into our offer, whatever next step is. Beautiful.
So they're going through a thorough deep dive. They're going to do a strong discovery, really understand their pain points, their constraints, to see if what you do is going to be a great fit and you can help them solve it.
Yeah. Okay. Amazing. Yeah. And can in your experience, can the appointment setter also be the person in your DMs if you're just beginning? Yeah,
for sure. I think when you're looking at building your team in the early stages, often runway of cash is one of the biggest constraints when you're an early stage founder, especially if you're doing under 50K. Hiring someone onshore that's going to be an expensive role could be very tricky. So looking at ways to do this more effectively, you can hire VAs to do your DM chat support. You can also have great part-time setters do your appointment setting. Now, can they be the same person? Sure. It's probably a little bit more tricky to navigate if you're a first-time founder growing this for the very first time. I will have to admit, you've got a few things to look at there. There's a lot of different things to monitor and manage. So I'd probably suggest you look at isolated roles.
Yeah.
Have your VA that's offshore doing your DM chats, and then looking for someone potentially onshore that's doing your high-quality conversations with your prospects.
For sure. Yep. Okay, and we'll talk about where to find these people in just a moment.
Sure.
In this the final part of deciding, does the hiring change based on whether you're an agency owner, whether you're a service-based business, or whether you're a coaching program? Does it kind of change, or is it pretty stock standard across the board?
Yeah. So as in the hiring approach, or the building that sort of engine room?
They're
infrastructure.
Seats in the team that you need. Yeah.
They're similar. I think, if you're a creative, what would you say the average value would be of your community? What are they selling? What's the average order value?
It really varies. Photographers are probably doing, $500 to $1,000 shoot, maybe more, and then agency and web, they're pretty much anywhere from 5 to 20, 30, sometimes 50 grand.
Great. Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, so I think when you're thinking about the support structure, it's very similar. We own an agency, we've got a coaching business, and we also have a service company. And all three of those businesses, whilst they're very different in the services they provide and the offers they have, the infrastructure, very similar.
Yeah.
And it's just really identifying your ideal client profile. What are the steps they need in order to have trust? Do you want to feel very supported through your sales process and the experience? And how can you take them from curious to I'm ready to go through that journey?
Yeah. And I just want to double click on the feeling really supported in the sales process. I think a mindset block for a lot of people in outsourcing this is people are going to want to talk to me. I remember when I outsourced selling, I shouldn't say outsourced selling, when I hired for this closer role specifically, because I'm still involved in it. I'm just not the one doing the closing on the calls. But when I hired the closer, I had this belief that who's going to buy if they don't actually talk to me as the founder?
Yeah.
And also, so there's that belief, but then I think also people have a belief that if I have salespeople working for me, does it make it icky? If I have an appointment setter calling people and going, hey, we've got this, saw you downloaded this thing, how else can we help you? That's not icky. That's really supportive and like actually serving.
Yeah.
And so I think that mindset piece of going outsourcing sales and getting really like efficient at how you sell doesn't mean you lose your personalization or your nurturing or the supportive way in which you sell, which I think is very important for our people.
Yeah, 100%. I think, firstly, many of the things you just said there, they do go wrong in some businesses, right? Where if we haven't hired the right people, if we don't have the right frameworks in place where we can actually teach people how we want them to actually operate throughout your business and your brand. So they've got to be an extension of you, your values, your tone, your language, exactly the experience you want to create. And if you build your team with that view in mind, then the good news is who you're bringing on board. And as you take them through onboarding, they're going to come out the other end feeling fully connected to your mission. The way they talk to your clients, they can wow them, delight them, give them a great experience. And ultimately, your potential clients want their problem solved. They've got constraints which are holding them back. And we're all about, helping them solve those so they can achieve the outcome they're wanting.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. That's really good. And that kind of brings us into the second stage. So we've decided, this is what I want to do. I'm ready for it. I've got the leads. I know that I've got, I need this. This is the unlock. So now when it comes to hiring, we really want to find the right person for these roles. So we've already identified the first hire should be an appointment setter or someone in your DMs before you hire the closer. So where should someone actually look to find this unicorn person? Where do we actually find these people?
Yeah, it's a really good question. Yeah, so over the years, and even like now, we've got loads of salespeople in our community. We've trained lots over the years, many teams. Probably one of the most overlooked areas, like a founder right now, if you're wanting to hire your first hire, I bet you your best person is someone that's already following you online and in your database right now. There's many fans that follow different people. Maybe they're a fan of your work. Maybe they know someone who's worked with you before. Your first appointment setter is probably in your list. And if you actually structure a very clear, on-brand, calling out the exact skill sets that you're looking for, I bet you there's a top quality salesperson that has alignment to your niche, that actually has some great skills, that's looking for that opportunity. Now, we've done this many times with some big names and also some small brands. And we've found some incredible people that are already huge advocates for that founder. And that's a great fast start because they know who you are, they know your brand, they know what you're about, and they would love the opportunity to work for you. Now, if that didn't land for you, then there's loads of communities. You can look at, there's remote sales communities everywhere now, all through the US, Australia, Europe, you name it. They're full of young people, middle-aged, all people going through different life changes. You can see people looking for part-time, full-time. They're trained appointment setters, and they're also trained closers. There's free groups you can join. There's loads online. Apart from that, there's your typical online public platforms.
So when someone is looking for this person, whether it's an appointment setter or a closer, what do you think matters more? Is it more important that they've got experience in sales, or is it more important that they have, expertise in your specific niche, or that they just freaking love your brand? What are you looking for when you're placing someone in a team? Yeah,
very good question. First thing for me is niche fit's really important because as a founder, you don't want to have to try to educate someone completely on your industry and your niche. Because it's quite a bit of heavy lifting to do. You might find someone, they might have great skills and you think, they've got loads of sales experience. But let's say you're a creative and they're from the finance space. You couldn't think of two different worlds that wouldn't cross over well. They might be a really experienced salesperson, but they're not going to fully understand what you're about, your niche, and how you actually serve your audience. So niche for me is number one. The second thing is experience, for sure. Can you hire a rookie that has no experience? Absolutely. We've done it loads of times, but we have trainers inside our business that can do that. So if you're a founder and you're building your first team and you don't, you're not a seasoned sales trainer, you've done it your way, I probably wouldn't recommend diving in, having to train a brand new rookie from scratch, because you don't necessarily know what good looks like yet for an external salesperson. So I'd probably hire definitely someone with great experience that is a good niche fit, pay more for an A player, and they will pay dividends back in return on investment tenfold, in terms of saving you time, stress. They're going to hit the ground running, especially if they're already from your niche.
Yeah. And I love that, because we have, our sales team right now, they're absolutely crushing it, which is amazing.
I know.
But but we've had closers in the past who were really experienced, seasoned salespeople, but they weren't necessarily the right niche fit. And it was either that they needed a lot of hand-holding from me, which is, I understand you've got to onboard people and you've got to, kind of spend time to save time down the line.
Sure.
But it was taking me so much time to train these people because they didn't understand our niche. The second thing is, if you get someone that has like close at all costs energy, specifically for my niche, that energy didn't work.
Yeah.
And so if there was ever a whiff of like,
that's sleazy. I know.
One of my friends calls it commission breath.
Yeah, totally.
And it's like, if they have that commission breath where it's like they're just trying to close you to make money for themselves, they're not doing it out of service.
Yeah.
That didn't land for my audience, and probably doesn't land for really any audience. But I think that's a really good take, that it's niche first. Like, do they feel like someone that your people would actually enjoy having a conversation with, and then experience comes second.
Yeah, that niche piece is the extending on that is values. Like, it's my niche. This is what we're passionate about. We love, your industry, your niche, who you help, who you serve.
Yeah.
And then the extension of that is like you and your business and your brand, and do they have strong alignment with that also?
Yeah.
Then the experience.
Yeah.
Then it's like, great, those tick, like who they are, like in their personal life. Do they have the right value system? Are they driven? Do they have the right energy? Do they have the right attitude?
Yes.
And if those things are all in alignment, you're off to a good start.
Yeah.
Then if they've got experience as well, then you could be having yourself an A player, which is a great hire.
Yes.
As opposed to just someone that's a hardcore closer that could be from, misaligned industries.
Yeah.
They've got their own,
Yeah, and I mean, you train sales teams all the time. There's probably a different energy in someone that's signing people up for a gym membership versus someone who's signing someone for a high ticket
for sure
coaching program. Yeah,
different. You've got more female focused audiences, more bro focused cultural audiences. They're very different team dynamics and team environments. More mature businesses that are looking for more of a longer sales cycle versus just a short, fast, and quick close.
Yes.
So you've got to really look at, what is their past experience? What have they worked with before?
Yeah.
What was the sales cycle? How many steps were involved in them achieving the outcomes? Was it like a 1 or 2 or 3 step sales process? Who have they worked with? You've got to really look into that.
Okay, this is so good. You mentioned pay for an A player, like pay them good money. How does, again, like assuming someone's green, they have never done this before, how does the pay structure work on average?
Yep. Yeah, if you're hiring your first closer and you're, like we spoke about, sort of this 50K-ish range, maybe you're going up to your first towards 100K type months, starting off with a full commission salesperson is probably the best way to go.
Yeah.
It's going to help manage some of your risk, because one of the biggest risks is hiring someone and them not working out. You're going to be spending a lot on salaries, time, and there's opportunity cost as well. So if you've got reasonable lead flow and you can provide consistent opportunities, creating a good commission structure where you can pay 10 or 12.5% of deals that they're winning, and you're paying them regularly every 2 weeks or monthly at the latest. So they're getting quick cash, quick rewards in. You can find yourself with someone that's got really strong alignment. But it's going to come down again to that balance of there's enough opportunity, and therefore you've got a proven product, and you can really create this structure where they can, you can predict how they're going to go, with them. So they can have projected earnings, and so can you, in terms of like how this is going to work.
Okay, cool. So 10 to 12%, that's if it's commission only. There's no base or there's no like salary involved in that. It's just what you close, you earn.
That's right.
I really like that structure for the like competitiveness of that. Are there any cons to that?
For sure.
Commission only structure?
Definitely. There's pros and cons to both structures. Like hiring people on base salaries, you're going to get maybe someone that feels more comfortable.
Yeah.
Maybe you've got this long-term, hire in place.
Yep.
However, if lead flow is a little bit low because you're still building and scaling and figuring a few things out, then you're taking on the cost of this ongoing resource where you're still trying to figure out a couple other parts of the business.
Yeah.
Where if you've got a full commission team member that's fully motivated to convert dream clients inside your structure of how you've, agreed to operate, then it's a win-win. You can pay a bit more on the front end, so 10, 12.5%. They're going to feel excited by it and lowers your risk on your overheads and gives you a bit more flexibility in the event that, things you've got to pivot a little bit through the scaling stage.
Yeah.
Now, the cons are they get a little bit flighty if they're not being filled up. So if their calendar's empty, you're going to potentially have more speed wobbles. So you need to keep that in mind.
Yep.
So if you're not filling them, then you have to be prepared that they need to earn a living.
Yeah. Right. And sometimes if they're commission only, they might sign clients in that you're like, this was a red flag client and you just signed them anyway because you just wanted the commission. So I think that, again, coming back to that cultural and the values piece of them being, I guess, incentivized or really aligned on who they let in and who they don't let in, I think is quite important.
100%. And it will be a reflection of how you set them up for success. So like we mentioned earlier, great framework in place. So here's our framework. Here's who we want to help. Here's our dream client profile. This is our ICP. And here's who's not a fit. And very clear. And I would also suggest that as they're building momentum in that first 30, 60, 90-day period, you're reviewing those new clients they've signed. Are they a good fit? What was feedback from the fulfillment team? Reviewing calls, making sure everything's above board. So you've got that sleep at night factor as a founder as well, that you know that they're doing a great job, feedback's really awesome, and everything's on point. Okay,
this is so good. So just one final thing before we move into the onboarding, because I think this is really good. Wait, two final things. So if someone is going, okay, cool, I want to do commission only, I don't know if I have the lead flow for someone to be full-time. Does a closer have to be full-time, 9 to 5, Monday to Friday in your business, or is there more flexibility in how it looks?
No, lots more flexibility. I think what you'll find is that when you're recruiting for these remote appointment setters or closers, the payoff for them is also this flexibility around being an entrepreneur within your business.
Yeah.
So if there's space in the calendar, you need to be very comfortable that, they might be off doing something else for that block of time.
Yeah.
It depends on how you've agreed on things. But for closers in our team, for example, if their calendar's not filled at a certain time, I'm not expecting them to be sitting at their desk waiting for appointments to come through.
Yeah.
So if they're a closer and we're supplying them calls, they're on, ready to go, dialed in for those calls. And then when they're not, they're doing follow-ups, they're doing other tasks. But then when they've got open space, off they go. They're at the gym, they're at the beach, they're reading, they've got other passions and hobbies. They're doing those things. And that's the payoff.
Yeah, 100%. That makes sense.
It's not that 9 to 5 job that they're not wanting. Yeah. That's why they're doing remote work. I've got some of my best people are living in, Costa Rica. They're in Ireland. They're in the US. They're all over Australia. They're everywhere. They're traveling. They're loving that lifestyle. They've got good Wi-Fi. They've got their laptop. They've got their headset.
Will close, have Wi-Fi.
Exactly,
I'm fine. Yeah, I love that. So, and then one final thing, if someone is in the hiring process, are there any traits that we should be, you've mentioned the values alignment and that they have experience, but are there any traits that you're looking for in a high performance closer?
For sure. You want someone absolutely driven. They've got to be ambitious. If you want to build a high performance sales team, they've got to be financially driven. And it is a key. The best people on our teams, they have a desire for growth. They've either got a personal goal they're working towards, something important to them, and this job opportunity, this working opportunity with you aligns to that. It's going to help them get there. So they've got to have good ambition, great work ethic. Typically the best people we've worked with also have like a strong sense of health as well, what we find. And what they're doing outside of work is really aligned to what they're doing inside of work. So they've got great active lifestyle. Not saying this is like a must, but this is what we see.
Yes.
Great active lifestyle. They've got good relationships. They're really driven. I'm looking for those people when we're hiring.
Yeah, I really like that too. Okay, final stages. Once we've got the person, we've found them, we know that they're the right fit. A big mistake is being like, hey, here's the script. Best of luck. Have fun.
Yeah.
So how do we actually onboard these people? I really want to zero in on that first 30 days because you have this amazing way of onboarding a new team and particularly new closers. What should we be doing in that first 30 days to support them?
Yeah, cool. Good question. Yeah, we do have a bit of a strict process on how we do it. And we've been doing it, amongst lots of teams now over the years. First couple of days, like if we keep this really simple, first 1 to 2 days should just be all about your offer, your business, your value system, who you help. And they should just be soaking that up for the first 2 days, nothing else. So they're getting a very strong feeling of exactly what you're all about, your best examples of success with clients, and they're just getting this conviction of, wow, I love being here. I'm excited to be here, and they should be pumped before they start learning anything else. So vision, mission, values, clients, ICP, your brand, your offer, dialing that in. Then when it goes to say day 3 to day 10, it's all about the sales process. So your framework should be structured so that they can start to master it. So they should be listening to your best calls that you've had. So if you haven't been recording your own calls on Zoom or phone, start doing so if you're planning on having a team.
Yeah.
Because they're going to be able to watch you in action. Even if there's no framework on how you did it, doesn't matter. They will start to grab the best things about what you were doing with clients, how you say things, examples, and they'll soak those things up. And then you can infuse that inside your framework. So for 7 days, our new hires, all they do is obsess about watching calls and learning the framework and repetition.
Yeah.
That's it. Then after they've mastered that framework, then we'll move them into the SOPs, the how to do things.
Yeah.
Here's the CRM. Here's the tech stack. And we do that last because we don't want that to cloud the front end product, offer, ICP, and sales.
Yeah.
We don't want them stuck in process.
Yeah.
Once that's all ready to go, then the first 30 and 60 days is then scaled in terms of, it's like a ramping up system. So we're just setting realistic expectations of what we think good looks like and making sure we're not overwhelming them with too many calls. We don't want them back to back. We want to give them one call. We want an hour before the next call so they've got time to reflect, recharge, debrief what went well, what were some things I missed, and then they can take stock of where they're at, and then they do their next call. And we do that typically for a whole week on a reduced calendar, and then we review, and then we start to ramp up the next stage the following week. And we rinse and repeat that for the first 30 days.
Cool. Okay, and are they doing any role plays with you, any practice like runs before they go into their first call?
Loads.
Okay.
Yeah. So we have a real strict policy not practicing on prospects.
Yes.
Okay. So they're going to do 700 minutes of role play in the first 2 weeks.
Wow.
Okay. At a minimum. So it's typically 700 to 1,000 minutes of role play. Now they can do that with colleagues. Now we have some pretty groovy AI, which we use, but without that, you can just do that with other people. Okay, cool. You can do it with you as the founder, where you can have set times, where you can do, practicing different sections of the script or the framework is most effective, as opposed to just doing the whole call. Just chunk it down, break it up. But repetition is key. So then they go into those first calls really confident.
I really like that. All right, so I want to talk numbers and metrics. So we've got them onboarded. What are the core numbers that the closer themselves should be tracking so that we know that they're across their numbers, that they're like really diligent with this piece?
Yeah, great. Yeah, good. I think just to keep things super simple, right? So you're not overwhelmed with metrics. Many times you could have a whole list of metrics that you're like, what do these even mean? But if we just strip it back to like what's most important, if you've got your first closer starting to take calls, you want to be measuring and monitoring how many book calls are you giving them a day. So let's say they're getting 15 calls a week. Great. If that's the goal, we want to keep track of the daily run rate. How are we pacing towards that number? Second thing, what's their show rate? So out of those book calls, how many actually went live and were held? So you want to be managing and monitoring that show rate to make sure it's at typically 75, 80% is what we look for as a really strong show rate. If you've got issues of like 40, 50%, you're going to have a bit of turbulence because it means that you're booking calls, they're not showing up. You probably need to go back a couple of steps and figure out why. Okay, so book calls, show rate. Then we want to look at how many offers we're making, which is really important. So on those calls that are held, how many were the right ICP that your closer actually offered your services and attempted to win that business. Okay, so offers made is an important metric. And then we want to understand how many did we actually convert. So what is that conversion rate? What's the true close rate for that closer? And you can measure that from offers made and also from calls held. So you've got two different numbers there that you can keep track of. Now, the last two would be revenue closed, so total contract value, and of course, cash collected. Because if you're not collecting cash, you're going to have very hard time scaling, that's for sure.
Yes, that's really, really cool. Okay, final question here around managing the team. So how do we're tracking these numbers. Ongoing, what does a good weekly rhythm look like for managing your sales team moving forward?
Yeah, awesome question. Again, often overlooked. You know, we can have a team and go, oh, we'll be fine. We're just going to go with the flow. What I can highly encourage and advise you on is have some structure. And we can keep it really simple, but the themes of this: monthly launch. Get your team excited about what it is you want to achieve this month. So what's our goal? What are we working towards? What's the impact of that? Now, I'm not just talking dollars and revenue. Like, how many clients do we want to onboard this month? What's the impact we want to have on clients? And what does that then relate to when it comes to dollars? You know, so what's our revenue number? And then how are we going to get there? Okay, so what are the different initiatives we're doing this month to help encourage that sales result? Are we giving the team some new, and could be bonuses they're using or mechanisms to help clients on board this month that are new, that aren't part of the norm? So monthly launch, everyone really excited. What are the key things we want to focus on or improve on, and how are we going to get there? So that they come out of that launch going, I'm fired up, we've got a plan, it makes sense, I know exactly what good looks like, and I know what I've got to do to contribute. Then how you keep that run rate is each week do a weekly kickoff on a Monday, and it could go for 30 minutes. If you want to keep it light, 45 minutes max. Depends on the size of your team. If it's one closer, you could probably do it in 15 because it's you and them. It's not this huge team. But have a Monday kickoff, which just really it's like a mini version of your monthly launch. It's like, what do we need to achieve in the next 5 days? And how are we pacing towards our goal? Okay, so manage run rate. You just focus on the small steps that are in front of us for the next 7 days and how do we achieve that? Okay, so then we know exactly what we need to do each day. And is there any bottlenecks that we need to solve this week that are getting in the way of us hitting that number? Okay, and then between Tuesday and Friday, it's just like a 5, 10, 15 minute sales align. Okay, so your best time spent is half an hour on a Monday and then 10, 15 minutes Tuesday to Friday with your person, and then you can make sure they're well supported, they're staying focused, they're on track, and you're helping solve any problems they've got so they can do their best work.
That's really good. And I love the one thing you said to our sales team when you were doing some training with us was start fast, finish strong in the month. And I thought that was such a good frame. Can you explain that really quickly, that frame up?
Yeah, so we do two things. Fast start in the month. So first week of the month, we want to come out the gate really strong, really focused with maximum momentum. So we're putting incentives in place for the sales team to hit a certain number by the 5th day of the new month because we want to make sure we're really on track. There's nothing worse than chasing your tail. The month feels long and heavy when you're behind. It's a drag,
100%.
right?
Yeah.
So we want to get out the gate first. We're going to put incentives, bonuses, everyone aligned, fully focused. And then 10 days before the end of the month, we start to plan what we call the closeout, and we make sure that the back end of the month has the same focus and energy as week one. So is there any levers we need to pull to drive more appointments? Do we need to tune marketing? Do we need to put any incentives in place to drive more activity? Do we need to ask the team for a bit of extra support when it comes to could be doing a few extra hours, maybe jumping on a weekend? What do we need to do to make it happen if we are behind our goal? And this way we can always stay within this sort of 5% up or down on our target, and we're always on pace.
And I think to close this out, like I think a lot of people listening may, as a creative, go, "Oh my gosh, this feels like a lot, Luke. Like I thought I was going to get more time back."
Yeah.
But I think it's such an important step for us to step into this creative CEO space, which is I am the leader in the business. I'm not just the doer. I'm not just the technician. I'm not just the designer or photographer or whatever.
Yeah.
If we want to be in this CEO role, and ultimately if we want to build this $1 million a year business, this is part of the gig.
Yeah.
In the same way that learning to sell when you started was part of the gig, now the like scaled up version of this is, okay, I've got to start to manage
for sure
a sales team. So I think even if this feels like, oh my gosh, this feels like a lot, I want to encourage you, if you're listening to this or watching this, this is the next level version. And this expansion leads to the expansion in your business. It leads to the big unlocks.
And the feeling and the experience that you'll have is when you're getting creative, thinking about the projects you're working on, the clients you're wowing, there's sales happening in the background. You know, and you could be off doing client meetings, doing a podcast, doing a partnership meeting, and next minute there's new clients being won in the background because you've created the engine room. There's no better feeling. So then not all roads lead to you.
Yeah.
Yes, there's some work, but it's not too crazy if you've got structure. I think that's where probably people misunderstand it. If they're winging it, then it's always feeling a little bit chaotic. But if there's structure, stick to that and go for it.
And truly, I remember the first time someone closed, my closer made a sale without me, my first ever closer. And I was out having lunch with Nath. I was down at Toddy's in the city having lunch. And I got this Stripe notification. Yeah. And I like teared up because I was like, I thought that I would have to be the one to do this forever. And I like, it's really, really empowering that you can be on holidays and someone's closing for you and selling for you and advocating for you. Yeah. And that's really, really powerful.
Huge.
So, Luke, I know people are going to want more from you because you've just given, this has been like a masterclass in how to build a sales team. Where can people follow you, engage with you, and see more content from you?
Yeah. You can jump on our IG. So on Instagram, Uplift Advisory. You'll see a bunch of, we drop in there, could be sales education, AI sales education, if you're wanting to leverage things in a different way. There's a whole bunch of snips, training. We drop gold nuggets on there all the time. So jump on there, check us out, and we'll give you free tools, whatever you need.
So good. Yeah. Thank you, my friend. It's been a pleasure.